Greetings, this is Jeff from Enjoy Life Traveling. Today we are going to take a tour of Enchantment of the Seas. This is in the same class as some of the smallest ships. However, this ship was actually widened. They cut it down the middle and added some more. So it's a little bit bigger than some of the other ones there. And you'll be able to see that here in this video, a little bit of the differences. Now we are currently on deck 4. This is basically the main way to go for most of your stuff here. Your centrum is going to be here. This does not have a promenade, but this is called the My Fair Lady dining room. It is 2 floors, and it's beautiful. I think it's well maintained. Really, the only thing on deck 1 is basically the medical facility, and that is also where you're going to be getting off the ship for excursions. However, when you are coming on the ship, it's actually deck 5. And so we'll go ahead and get a look at deck 5 for you here. But we'll start off, before we go there, we'll just walk out of My Fair Lady and take a look at the centrum and how the elevators work. So on this area of this bank of elevators, they're going to have elevators that go to 1 to 11, which will take you up to where the Crown Lounge is at. And that's also where the Diamond Lounge is at and the Concierge Lounge. Where you're actually going to board the ship is going to be on deck 5, but we are currently in the Centrum deck 4. This goes straight up through the middle here. There's a lot that goes on here. This is called the R-Bar. This is kind of where the R-Bar started, was on this class of ship. And this is boarding day here. So they've got basically the displays for everything. The bands play here. They do games here. They had the silent disco here. They've got games they'll just put in the middle. They'll do a badminton, and they'll do the cornhole games. It's where they drop the balloons. A lot of things are held right in here. If you are wanting to see an event that is here and you want to be on that main floor, you're going to want to plan for it because the seating is limited. But it's made to go up all these other levels here, so you can watch from different decks as you look down upon the people playing the games or dancing, wherever they're doing. And of course, you can do your own thing there and dance on whatever floor you'd like. So as you go upstairs here, again, you got this other bank of elevators. And once again, one goes up to 11, the other one will go to 9. There is another bank of elevators that will only go to 9. And it's on the other side. So if you're wanting to go to that Crown Lounge, you're going to need to go on that bank of elevators there to get there. This is going into, again, My Fair Lady on the next deck. The way that they did this here was on the dining, they had the traditional dining only on the early, and then everything else was kind of the planned my time dining. So it was a little bit different, and I've noticed that here on the last couple ships that I've been on, that I've kind of starting to see what seems to be a trend to where they're just doing one my time dining rather than an early and a late, and then making everybody else kind of work around that. I actually booked a Grandeur of the Seas while I was on this, because Grandeur ports right next to where this one will port at, and on the same day. And when I did it, was very, again, last minute, and they didn't have any my time. They didn't have any traditional dining. They only had the my time at the later dining time. So I'll have to kind of figure out how that's going to go. But again, that just shows the trend as far as how they're doing these things. Maybe that'll be different on the bigger ships. They'll stick with what they've been doing with the 2 traditional dinings, but again, right now that's the way that is. So again, we are up the floor here, and you can see to your left there is going to be that centrum area where you can look over, but over here this is guest services on the right, and to the left is the excursion desk. So if you have questions about your excursions, or you're wanting to cancel an excursion or book an excursion, that's where you're going to go. Something to know if you're looking to get an excursion canceled is that generally you're going to want 48 hours notice. Otherwise, you're liable to either not get it refunded or only get a partial refund. So I talked about the thing getting widened, the ship being widened. As you see, this is a Boleros. And compared to, say, like Grandeur of the Seas, Grandeur does not have this Boleros here. So this gives you, they do a lot of Latin music here, obviously. And they do some other events. They did their jewel thing here when they talked about how to identify gems. So there's a lot of activity that'll go into this area here. And it's a pretty good place to go if you're looking to hang out and just relax, listen to some music. The bar people are fairly attentive over here. and it is also right next to the casino. So if you're a casino player and you get that Prime status for free drinks, so a lot of times you can just bounce in here, grab your drink, and then go back outside rather than paying for the drinks, or if you got a drink package, obviously it doesn't matter. But again, something to take into account if you got those extra drinks through Prime and not a package, you know what I'm talking about. To the left there was the cashier cage, and also to the left or to the right of that against the wall was the bar. It's a small bar. The casino is small. They do a good job. This gets a lot of casino comps, this ship does, and so there are oftentimes a lot of casino players in here, and it has been packed. I'm on this ship for 4 straight cruises. I'm actually talking through this video on the third leg of the 4-leg cruise, and it has been quite packed. When you're doing the 4-day, the weekend version, everything's packed. It's a little bit younger crowd then, and the nightclub will get absolutely hopping there. So there's a lot of people that take advantage of the lower fares on this and to enjoy it in that fashion. One of the things about this that kind of surprised me is there's really only one restaurant on this ship. It's got chops. So there is a chef's table. Obviously, you got your main dining room. You've got your windjammer. Those are all common. But I mean, as far as the specialty dining goes, I guess other than the chef's table, which is a little bit different, that's what you got. So the theater here, it's a nice little theater. It hasn't had a problem as far as being overly full, but I mean, you can on certain events get pretty packed here. So you'll probably want to arrive a little bit early. I really like that upstairs area or this very back area because I like to be able to get in and out in case, I may not like the show. I never want to be up front. If I'm up front, I'm staying for the length of the show. I just think that it's rude to either arrive late or leave early and disrupt what's going on in front of other people there while the show, or the person that's doing the show. So something to keep in mind there. Be courteous. The ship here, again, this is one of the older ships, so it does have a little bit of an older decor. Some will call it outdated. I would say that it's elegant, and I kind of like it. Even with this being multiple cruises, I have seen far less kids on these cruises, which for me anyway is kind of nice. I've got 5 kids, 8 grandkids, and so I definitely don't need to. If I'm going to watch kids, it'll be my own kids and grandkids, not someone else's, if you know what I'm talking about there. So again, I went upstairs here to where you can see the theater again from another angle. Again, it's very well done. There is not a bar inside this place here. However, the servers do a pretty good job of coming down and checking on you. And depending on the show, sometimes those drinks will stop once the show starts. And other ones I've actually watched here to where they have had a server even while the show was going on, which I thought was a little bit of a surprise. Again, you can see this is very elegant. I really like the backdrop, that curtain that they have here. There are no Broadway shows that are at this place. However, they will show movies. They will have comedians. They'll have jugglers. They have their own production shows. Again, they're not the Broadway end of it. They're their version, something that they've made. And, it's all included. So as far as I'm concerned anyway, it's well worth it. There's plenty to do on this ship, in my mind, to keep anybody active. You always have someone that'll say, hey, I was on whatever ship and was bored. But really all cruise ships have their stuff. So a lot of times if you're finding problems doing something, maybe not quite enough research is being done to kind of plan what you're wanting to do. Because there's all kinds of things always going on, whether it be, the game shows, different games, different production shows. Again, like I said, the comedies, the different get-togethers and meetups that are going on. I really like this ship in that the hotel director gets people together on the first day at 4:30, usually in the Spotlight Theater, Spotlight Lounge, I should say, and kind of lets all of the solo or single travelers meet and get to know each other. I hadn't really seen this much on the Royal Caribbean. They'll put things out there that's self-led kind of thing, and those are usually not a great turnout. But on this one here, I think he did an excellent job. I think that the hotel director, I believe his name is Craig, did a wonderful job as far as keeping people together and having some other events. They did a lunch thing, at 11:30 on day 2, and then the self-led stuff is still there. It's 8 o'clock, and it's at the Viking Crown. But again, it's really hit and miss. And then at 9 o'clock, they have the LGBTQ. I apologize. I don't know the terminology. It's not my thing, but that is held at 9 o'clock. If that's your thing, I assume you know what I'm talking about. The shops here, it still has a very nice area of shops. Again, the ship was widened, and so they have a fair amount of selection for people to find, to get their shop on, if that's what they're wanting, whether it be the jewelries, the souvenirs, clothing, perfumes, all that kind of stuff is on here, and it's going to be duty free. They will not obviously be open when they are in the different ports unless it is their port. Then you may see some of those things open. But yeah, this, like all the other cruise ships, these things will not be open when you're in port. And right now we are in Tampa, so these are going to be closed until probably, I think, about 7:30. When you're going out of Tampa, you have to get out into those international waters. So if you're looking to do the casino, that's going to probably come into play more about like 7:30 or so. And so that's something to kind of keep in mind there. If that's your game, if you want to do the casino stuff, it'll open a little later, because the international waters, when it's going out of Tampa, it's usually doing things that are going to be on the side of Mexico. And depending on where those stops are at, it again may be a little bit later for that casino to open to get in international waters. And again, it seems like it's been right around that 7:30-ish time for the casino to open on port days in Cozumel and Costa Maya. I haven't been on this ship going to Belize, but Belize is always one of those that is an even longer time for it to get to open waters, because there's a very narrow channel that it has to go through to make sure that it doesn't hit ground, because it's fairly shallow there. When you go on these cruises, there's usually events to get some small things free. And one of the things, particularly if maybe you got kids or grandkids younger and they're not with you, and you want to bring them a little something, a lot of places like Effie and those kind of things, even when you go ashore and you're at these different places, the Effies and the Diamonds International, a lot of times they'll have little charms or bracelets, things that don't cost you anything, but you can get a couple and be able to, have a little something to take back. When you're traveling as much as I do, I know that it can be a little bit difficult, because you can't get something from every stop. So just real quick, that's the VOOM desk where you will get the internet if you've got any questions. This is Latitudes, and so they're going to have your different coffees and such. If you got the drink package, things are going to be included there. If you do not, you're going to be paying for some of those things. The food, however, is included. I'm really just talking about the drinks. Despite being an older ship, as you can see, it does have one of those Pepsi Freestyle machines. So if that's your thing, and you're going to get that, there is a spot to get your soda. And if I recall correctly, and hopefully we'll find out later on the video here, but I'm thinking I saw one on deck 9 as well. But I'm not 100% as I say this here. Again, you've got your art stuff, which you're certainly going to expect to see on a ship. Know that that's going to be third-party stuff there. So if you have issues, it's not necessarily a Royal Caribbean thing. It's like going to a mall, and you can't blame the mall if you bought something in one of the stores. That's basically what this is, a mall, and each one of those stores are going to be ran by the individual departments. So keep that in mind. There are, while generally speaking, there's not a problem, have been instances to where there are issues, and I just don't want you to fall prey to anything that you might regret. So keep that in mind when you're buying, and know that it is not just a Royal thing. Now, your different statuses can get you some different perks, some different discounts they'll put in there to save you some money. But a lot of times, coming up on Chops Grill here, that was just a look at the current menu. A lot of times you can negotiate the same thing that they would have given you for those perk dollars. So I'll go ahead and take a look in here in Chops and kind of show you what they got. It's a nice place here. It's very simple. It's not overly elegant, but most of the people that go to Chops say that they really like it. For me personally, this is only my opinion. I thought it was fine, but to pay extra, this is a paid event or a paid venue. For me anyway, it was not worth the extra $50-something to have that steak versus having the steak or whatever you're going to have that comes free in the main dining room. Now, there are obviously people that will disagree with that, and I think that maybe it's just me. I have a more simple lifestyle than maybe some others, so I just don't see it. But again, there are people that absolutely swear by it and say it's worth it. I think that maybe their income level is different than mine, because again, I can't quite picture it. I have had dinner here. As a matter of fact, being that with my status, I can get like a buy one, get one for myself, or if I'm with somebody, I can get them buy one, get one if I do that on the ship the first day. And I still don't. And they'll ask me, hey, you got this, you can get two basically for one. I'm not going to pay for it because I'm very happy with what's going on in the main dining room. I think it's just fine. If you are looking for an overly elaborate, meal that you would get somewhere that's, if you're on land, would be, a very expensive place, the main dining room is not that place. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's pretty good food. The Windjammer, I think, could be better. I mean, I have talked about it like it's a buffet that you would get in some of these other places, but maybe doesn't even have that much of a selection. However, it does have some Indian food, which you'll also find in the main dining room. So they do, and they'll change that over to match the themes slightly. So on, say, Mexican night, the Windjammer will also have a Mexican night area. All right, so we are going into the schooner bar. So the schooner bar here, again, this is an older ship, so it's not as wide as some of the other ones in the Radiance class, which is my favorite for having this particular bar. However, I do think I like it a little bit more than some of the newer ships, to where the newer ships, it always just feels like it's overly crowded, overly packed, and maybe not worth it in my opinion. So this is the BOGO. You always see people talking about, the drink package, and they did or didn't get it. On board, usually there's a buy one, get one on the drink package. Not always, but more often than not, in my experience, that's been the case. So they got back to this place here. They've got a piano player, and they come in and they'll do things there for that venue. And they'll do some other events, some games and such in that area. Just to your right here is the bathrooms. On some ships to the right here, there's another restaurant. However, on this one, it's just a conference room. And I don't know why they do it that way, but that's how they do it. I think they'd probably be better off with a different restaurant there. But that's the men's room. The ladies' room is right here. That's going to be basically the restrooms that you're going to use, whether you are in the schooner bar or where I'm going now, which is the Spotlight Lounge. That's the bathroom that's going to be basically shared by those two venues. On the other side, where the theater's at and the casino, inside the casino there, just on the edge, those two other bathrooms there. So that's what's going to be available on this floor. That's the bar, obviously, for this place. Again, when you get to the bigger ships here, like the Radiance class, there'll be another bar in back. They do not have that on this one. However, generally speaking, I like this venue. I like the way it's done. There are some nooks and crannies in it. If you're trying to get away from people, get away from the quiet particularly. Sometimes I just want quiet. And if there's nothing going on here and you want to get it, there'll be people a lot of times by that back windows there looking out. But here to your right, that's a underutilized area. So if you're trying to get away from everybody, that's the place to kind of sneak off to. But also if you got a full venue and you're looking for some extra seating, it's not easy to see that there's some seats there. So that also might be where you want to go if there's no other seats available. That little opening, that is where the servers come from. They do a fair job, the servers do. It can be, when you're in those little nooks and crannies, a little bit hard to be seen, or if they don't know you're in there, to check on you. So you may want to kind of get their attention. On this venue, they did the Crazy Quest in this venue. They do a lot of the different games in this area here. Karaoke is going to be in this area if you like that. They'll do a regular karaoke. They also do an adult karaoke. Because this is shorter sailings, you're not going to have the superstar thing where you're competing like you do on some of the longer running ships there. So keep that in mind. If that's your thing, you won't find that on this one. There are some things that are in the way, so depending on where you're sitting, you could have some sightline issues, but for the most part, it didn't matter much to me. I thought it worked out pretty well, and it seemed like there was enough room if you took the time to look, that there was some seats. And if you find yourself without a seat, if you look around, a lot of times another area will have seats that someone will be at, and if you just say, "Hey, is anybody sitting here? Can I join you?" Most of the time they will, so don't sweat that. Now, as I mentioned, the solo thing, that solo thing is held in that, well, either by the back window, or it'll be that little cove I was talking about. That's going to be on 4:30 on embarkation day. And that'll be in your room in a little card if you're solo. But if you don't know about it, you won't find that on the, typically anyway, in the compass. So if you talk to somebody, or if you just don't know about it, keep that in mind. So everything else up is basically rooms. And that's why I just went ahead and jumped up to 9 rather than to go upstairs, which I've done before. But it's all staterooms, so to just keep it simple, I thought I would go straight up to 9 here. And this is the solarium. The solarium here, it's got a nice bar. I wish they did things a little differently here. Personal preferences, we'll call it. This, again, was embarkation day, so they're doing some work before everybody gets on. I stayed on because this is a back-to-back for me. But anyway, that bar opens at 6 in the morning and closes at 6 at night, which I don't quite understand, being that this is an adults-only area, why you would close the bar at 6 o'clock. So it's got a fair-size hot tub to it. It's got a fair-size pool to it. There's some seating. They probably could use a little bit more. I think that they could use to add some tables and maybe put some stuff together, but that's what they got. There's places to get drinks over here, get your coffee over here. There's a little salad bar back there. And then over here, you're going to have some pizza. They have those sandwiches that are kind of unique to Royal. Again, your hours of operation could probably be a little bit different. I really don't know why, again, they do some of the things that they do. Everybody talks about their pizza, but they don't always have it available at like the different times that I might want to have it available. So keep that in mind, because it seems like each ship is a little bit different as far as their hours. So don't make an assumption that because it was this on one ship, that it's going to be that on another ship. The guy that I was talking to, for example, at that bar, I was shocked that they closed at 5, and they said, "Oh, all the Royal Caribbean ships close the solarium bar at 5." No, they do not. They absolutely do not. So anyway, this is your spa area. I did just a little quick area through here to give you an idea, a look of what they've got. It's not something that I do. I did put a video out a while back of my wife getting a pedicure. I think it was a pedicure or massage. I don't know. But anyway, she tried the facilities out on one of the ships. Again, it's not an area that I find the value in compared to maybe some of the ports that you go to. It's going to be a little more expensive. And again, this is third party, so this is not going to be your Royal Caribbean people that are doing this. This is people that are renting spa space out to offer the service if something goes wrong. I know the first thing is to talk to Royal Caribbean, but there's very little that they're going to be able to do under most circumstances. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm sure there are plenty of people that like doing these kind of things. They have little tasters that go on, so where if you're wanting to try it out yourself to see what it's like, they'll give you little taster massages and things like that. Also on embarkation day, a lot of ships will, besides giving you the tasters, they'll give you a free tour of the place. I was really surprised that they did not offer me that tour, just because they could see that I had the camera going, obviously, in the video. And for them, I would think that'd be an opportunity. That's what I would be as far as someone who's trying to, earn their living, giving out, massages or whatever they're doing. I would be out there kind of hustling a little bit more, but they didn't say 2 words to me other than look at me like, "Oh, look at this guy." So, yeah, take that for what you will. There is an upstairs area here that will take you up to where the fitness area is at. I wish I could tell you that I spent more time in the fitness area. I probably should, but I don't. But anyway, you can access that through the spa. And obviously, if you are up in the fitness area, you can walk down if you're looking to get to the spa. So as we walk through here, we'll get a look at the rest of the solarium. again, there's a fair amount of chairs here. I wish I had a few more, and it can fill up. However, I really think that on embarkation day is probably the best time. This is an enclosed area. It can open, but it's rare for them to open it. And when they do, a lot of times it creaks so much, I'm surprised they can get it closed. That said, it can get awfully humid in here. So I would tell you that if you're going in here, and unless you're eating or, heading to the bar, you're going to probably find this place pretty warm. If it's warm outside, it's going to be a heck of a lot warmer in here. So you probably want to take advantage of that pool, because to just use this area to sit, it's pretty humid. Would not be in my recommendations of things to do. So, all right, we'll go ahead and go outside and kind of show you what that looks like. Now, as you would expect, you're going to see some games, and so as you go out these doors, it'll open for you. You'll have ping pong. They do a ping pong tournament that I watched just a little bit of. Again, not a lot of tables, but I think there's one on each side if I recall correctly. And then you've got your towel station here. The thing I would tell you with the towel station, and it's really with any ship nowadays, I feel like, is that if you've got an excursion to go to and you're wanting to grab a towel, usually in the early part of the day, just as you're leaving, they'll have a place to check out a towel. But if you're getting off the ship a little bit later, closer to lunch, they may not have that. And so if you're needing a towel, they'll tell you, well, you got to go up to the pool deck. And if you're on deck 1 getting ready to leave, and now you got to go up to deck 9 to get, your towel and then come back down, it can be just a touch frustrating. But again, it seems like that's the way that they're trying to do things now. I think maybe just from a personnel standpoint, there may be some cutbacks as far as, the people that they're hiring to keep people going. Now, if you've seen this ship before, this is probably going to stand out to you. You kind of see those wings that are on each side. Again, when they cut this ship and made it bigger, that was one of the additions, and you can walk across there. That's a little bridge, too. This is the Oasis bar. Much like the Solarium bar, I was trying to do a get-together, and not knowing the hours, I went to the Solarium, and I put it for 7 o'clock, and it closed at 6. And I was like, well, that sucks. So I posted on there that I was going to try to move it to the Oasis bar, assuming that the Oasis bar would be open, and that was a false assumption. So the Oasis bar had also closed at 6. However, the pool bar was open, but as you can imagine, since that's the only bar open, and this was, embarkation, it was pretty busy. So, again, there are servers out there, and I think they do a pretty good job with it. But just keep that in mind. Now, one of the things you may have seen here to the right as I was walking through is they've got that area for the kids, a little splash area. If I recall correctly, I do not believe that was on there before they split the ship up. I could be wrong. Certainly let me know. Doesn't really matter, I guess. But anyway, if you got kids, that's an area basically where there's kind of a fountain going on there, and they can run through. I say run through. It might be a little slick, but to walk through and play in the water, kind of like you would a garden hose kind of a thing. So this leads to the Windjammer. The Windjammer here is cut up a little bit in that it's got spaces to the left to where there's some seating, and then sometimes this will be open where I'm looking here, and the other side will not. There it is. I thought I saw the Coke machine. I mentioned that earlier. That's where the Coke machines are at. There's 2 of them. I'll go ahead and see if I can sneak in here and kind of get a look at that for you here. So 2 machines on this side. So there are some places to go to get that. A small area here for food, but sometimes they'll shut down one area and open another. And in this particular instance, one side was open, and as you can see, those doors in front of me where the Windjammer would be open, they're closed right now. So I'm going to try to sneak around on the other side here in a bit. But I'll get you a picture of the ship. Another one, they have the models of the Jewel there. And if you're into models, obviously that can be a little bit of a cool thing. Again, this is embarkation day, so they're trying to... There'll be people that are just set up in little booths there to try to say, hey, let's get massages or the specialty dining. Expect that, but they're overall, they're not too pushy. So as you go through here, again, that's a way to get outside. And then over here is another way. Now on this one over here, this is where the ice cream's at. That's what you need to know, is if you go through these doors, that's the ice cream. So You got a drink area that's right here. Ice, coffee, flavored water, that's all included. That's your ice cream. It's not open 24/7. It's open during certain times. So not necessarily early, but about the time that lunch starts, that'll open. And then they'll close it for a couple hours in between. And it generally speaking, seems to follow similar to the hours of the Windjammer. So I will go ahead and see if I can just peek in there a little bit. They're talking, obviously. They do their meetings. I won't interrupt them there. I think you know what dining tables look like in a buffet. So I was able to get up, and a lot of times I do these and I don't get in there to get the kids areas. Whereas in this particular instance, again, I did this on embarkation day, really before anybody was on board. And so they allowed me to kind of go through and give you a peek of what the kids area looks like. So they're smaller. Again, this is a smaller ship. There's not going to be as many kids on the ship. So it kind of makes sense in that regard. And there's several areas to work through and at different age levels. Now, I did talk to some people with teens, and I know that the parents had said that the kids were really enjoying it, and they weren't wanting to hang around with the parents. So maybe that's just being a teen thing, wanting to get away from parents. But you've probably heard some of the stories. If you went from a huge ship to this one, it just doesn't look like there's enough to it. So it is enough for the right people. This is your toddler area here. I'll see if I can just get a quick peek in again here. There's no one in here. I was going to ask for permission, but there was no one in here. But the main thing was there was no kids. And again, I'm not going to get pictures of the kids. And then you can come through and see that they've got a very small arcade. And I just thought I'd give you a quick peek of that. It is small. You'll see them all. I can just stand in a circle and show you each one of them. So I'll do the best I can to show you those. I would tell you that if you're looking to get, the tickets, I would not spend much money here because there's not much to work with. And I tried to walk through another door to see if there might be some more stuff there. From a gaming standpoint, just wasn't nothing available. That's where you can buy the tickets at. But again, there's just not enough out there in my mind to justify getting $50 worth of ticket credits. I would tell you, if you're going to do it, maybe $20, and even then, I don't know if a kid's going to be entertained unless they just really love a game, that arcade's going to do anything for them. So do with that what you will. Again, my opinion, probably not going to be worth it. So as we go on through here, I'll work my way so you can see the outside area. So we are elevated a bit, and the doors will slide open. Either side will slide open here. I got a little bit of artwork. There's a lot of artwork on here. They do a pretty good job of filling up the walls with something that looks nice. But again, as you saw, both open. There is lots of seating out here, and a very good area to be at if you're trying to be away from the pool, away from people. And you've got different places like you're seeing here where there's some place in the shade, there's place in the sun, and it's not overbearing loud noises. This is not an area to where you're going to usually find much in the way of kids because there's really nothing to do. And if they are, they're going to probably be quiet and sitting somewhere watching a game. However, they have a little area up here up top, and that's a nice area if you were, again, trying to get some sun and want to get away from everybody. A lot of people don't even know it's here, and you can just go up those stairs, and there's lounge chairs and all that. There was someone up there, so I'll catch it here in just a second. But again, you've got a way here to look out and see. Good place to be at. If you're on embarkation day to look around, that's Grandeur. The sea's there. That gives you an idea how close I am. So when I get off of this ship, I'm just going to go right over there and get on Grandeur, and that'll be on the 27th of this month of September 2025 that I will be there. So if you happen to be on that ship, say hi. If you happen to be on this ship here, because I'm going to be on it until then, certainly say hi to me. I like to get to know people. But again, as we continue, you can see that this is a walking track as well. So even though you're sitting in those chairs, you may have some people passing you, but generally speaking, they're just walking. They're not trying to usually start a whole lot in the way of conversations. So if you're looking to just be left alone, it's a good spot. And depending on what side you're on, you get some shade. Up here, no shade. It's all exposed, which is fine if that's what you're trying to get. And then there's a thing here you can kind of look down and see through the bottom of the ship there to the next area. I think that's more reflection than being able to see anything through there, but I gave it a shot. I tried. So I'll go back down here to the next level, and we'll kind of walk across and take a look at the rest of the ship and see what that looks like for you. Again, does not have as many decks as some of the other ones, so up here you can see down to where the kids are at, and people watch, or you can look outward and see the ocean. There is the big screen, so they'll show movies on the big screen, and there are usually fairly new, recently ran movies, the kind of stuff that you might see maybe just before it's on the movie networks. Some of them, kind of the back end on theaters. I mean, they've had Thunderbolts on there, and they've had How to Train Your Dragon, the newest one. Your Cruise Compass app that they have will be able to let you know as they update the different movies. They can change a little bit, but yeah, they do a pretty good job of showing movies and bouncing around between the pool area and the theater area. So keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and walk across the bridge to kind of show you that. Again, this was not here when the ship was made. This is a part of the addition, and it's a nice little view. I think it's a good little extra, added something to the ship just to make it a little bit more unique. So this would also be a pretty good spot to watch the sail away, and it can be a little spot to watch depending on where you're at as far as the belly flop competitions and that kind of thing. So again, there'll be some different events that are out here. Certainly plenty of dance parties if you're wanting to dance. Again, there's lots to do even on these smaller cruise ships. So take advantage of everything that's out there. Now, we had quite a bit of rain on each one of these sailings that I've been on here in September. I'm kind of surprised that I haven't, hurricanes, a lot of times in the past, I felt like I was either just getting off but when the hurricane started, or it was over and I was just getting on after the hurricane. But so far, so good. I have not had any issues this year trying to worry about, the bad weather and even the ships rocking. Being an older ship, I thought maybe that'd be an issue. So far, so good. Again, there's been rain, but there haven't been like the torrential downpours that could, that could really rock a ship. So a little info on your excursions. I kind of brought up about having, the 2 days advance when you're trying to cancel an excursion. It is something you want to keep in mind as far as watching the weather. When you're much like Florida, a lot of times if there's rain in the forecast doesn't necessarily mean that it's raining all day. However, as it's turned out on these first few cruises, it's been some pretty good downpours there to where it has affected the excursions. I'm going to be putting out a video about one of the newest beach clubs that's out there. It's still under construction, but there's plenty of room now, and it's awesome. So I'll be showing that video here soon enough. It's called Kuza, and you'll definitely want to take a look at that because I think it's going to be something pretty special there. But when you're doing some of the excursions, when you're in Cozumel or really even Costa Maya, I think a lot of times you're better off, instead of getting an excursion, is to just wait and get a taxi if the weather looks like it's going to work out, and take the taxi to the beach clubs. Now, if you're doing, some of the other things that are out there, the weather's right to do parasailing or that kind of stuff, yeah, you probably want to get your spot. But if you look through the ports and find out how many ships are in port, you're going to find that things are just a little bit different there. If there's few ships, you don't really have to worry about that at all. And we did one where we were the only ship in port, and another one with this one to where we were one of 2 ships in port. Now, as I'm saying this, in 2025 September, this is important, this is not using International Pier in Cozumel. It's using Punta Lagosta, and that is I believe that's the north of where the International Pier is. And I say that because, I like going to Del Mar Latina. I've brought up videos about, El Cid, and even going to some of the other places that you can go to. You're going to be farther north, so the taxi is going to cost you. And in the case of Del Mar Latina, you would have to walk, I think, about 2.5 miles to get there, or take a taxi, which is what I ended up doing. I went through, and my intention was to get a different place, a beach club that was just somewhere right there in Punta Lagusta to show you, oh, hey, go here, so you knew what to look for. And as I walked through there really wasn't anything there. I'd stopped by, a place called, I think it was called Dolphina, and it was kind of a dolphin excursion kind of a thing, but it looked like a little restaurant and a place to sit and drink. So I said, hey, is there a day pass? Can I come in? Can I have a cocktail, look around? They said no. There was a hotel that I thought maybe they might have a day pass, and they said no. So it seemed like everything that I could find, at least on this trip, that wasn't the case. There was no beach club nearby. As I understand it, and I feel pretty confident in telling you this, that if you go left, while I didn't see anything that looked like much of a beach club there, if you're looking for that downtown Cozumel, that's not the big tourist trap that's kind of right there in port. It's, from what I understand, it's maybe a mile-ish or so down to your left. And it looks like that. I even pulled it up on the map. It looks exactly like that. So if you're looking to kind of venture out on your own, and I mentioned not doing the excursion, that might be something for you to consider. So as we walk up here, I wanted to show you the Crown Lounge here, the Viking Crown Lounge. And this area here, during the nightclub hours, you have to go up this way rather than that elevator. The elevator will take you up there during the day, but at night it will not. So on Grandeur, that place I was just showing you that went up a little higher, that was Izumi. On this one, again, they don't have that extra restaurant up there. The bar staff over here was excellent. The main bartenders that I saw here that was more in the full-time was Olex or Alexander. He did a great job, made great drinks. La Ping was also up here, and she did a good job there. I think her drinks are maybe just a touch weaker. I don't know if one's overpouring or underpouring, and that's not a indictment either way. I think they did a fantastic job. It's just some had a heavier pour than the other one. So just to bring that out there, if you're looking for a weaker drink, you may look to her. Looking for a stronger drink, you may look to him. So as you come up this little walkway here, to the left is the concierge club, and I will show you that. And then you can go up these steps here, and this takes you to the Diamond Lounge. So you need to be a Diamond Plus, or Pinnacle to be up on this area. And you put your card in, and then you can open the door. And when you're trying to leave, there's a button that you would just open. The desk is to the right, where the person that works there, the loyalty ambassador, he will be over there. There's a loyalty desk on, I believe it is 6. But there's a guy there, Andy, that will help answer some of your questions. So the seating over here will kind of overlook what's going on below. So there are some spots to kind of people watch there. I did enjoy doing that area. And then as you walk around here,
2 more trips too.
There's a little place that during the evening hours they'll have some food set up here.
Absolutely.
To the left, more like finger foods, and it'll change each day. This is at Ambassador, and I asked him if I could get a look at the concierge area, and so he was kind enough to say yes. And he kind of explained to me, because I really hadn't looked into the concierge area. He said it's really just a smaller version of what we saw upstairs. He said the food is the same. There's really nothing different. It's just a smaller, a little bit more exclusive area. And this is really for like your suite guests. So, again, a smaller area to work with. I think it's fine. You got the coffee machine that kind of makes it as you go. That's, again, what they had on the other side as well. But yeah, a little bit smaller area, but also gives you a little bit of separation. And for a place for the suite guests to where they can get out and enjoy themselves. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.